James Brown, attorney and founder of Title Leap.
And I am David Velez, closer extraordinaire and Chief Development Officer of Title Leap, brought to you by James Brown Law. Today on Title Talk, we are going to talk about the importance of reviewing your deed before taking a listing.
Weren't you a real estate agent at one time?
I was, and we used to go on these listing appointments and try to get the listing signed because that's really where your revenue stream comes from. You get listings, you get buyers. That's where it begins.
So the thing we're talking about today is you did all your market research, you did everything, and I got several calls this week from real estate agents. Unfortunately, there were some overlapping fact patterns, and in one particular case, they were all listings, they were all issues that could have been resolved before the listing was signed if the agent had looked at the deed closely, but this one stands out. So they took the listing and the husband signed the listing agreement. The agent did not look at the deed. No, I apologize. The agent looked at the deed and the seller said, the husband, oh yeah, my wife will sign the listing agreement tomorrow or whatever, go ahead and list the property. Well, the agent took the seller at face value, posted the listing with only the signature of the husband to the listing agreement, and then forgot to get the signature of the wife, and they quickly got an offer. The property was priced aggressively, and so then when the contract came in, the wife refused to sign the contract.
So the wife didn't want to sign. She didn't want to sell?
She did not want to sell at that price.
Oh, so it was a price thing.
It turns out I think it was a price thing. So the wife didn't want to sell. She quickly lawyered up, and now they were actually in the middle of a divorce, and now it became even uglier because they have another issue. But anyways.
And so if the realtor would have looked at the deed,
yes,
and seen that both people bore a party to title,
evidently they did look at the deed and they did say the party, but they did not think critically.
Gotcha.
They were not protecting themselves. They took the seller at face value. That was one issue, or that was one incident. Another incident was they didn't look at the deed closely and then go to Sunbiz and make sure that the manager was the one signing the deed. So the company was an LLC. And so you want to have either a manager or an authorized member sign the deed.
Okay.
And if it's a corporation, it must be a president, vice president, secretary, or treasurer. So those are called officers.
Right.
And then lastly, we had another call from a seller's agent that had taken a property into listing on a trust. And they went on the word of the person signing the listing agreement that they were a trustee.
If they were the trustees,
yes.
So they had the authority to
yes.
execute the documents.
They
didn't.
They didn't. So that was another debacle. So 3 perfect fact patterns, and it all could have been resolved if the agent had done 2 things. You want to look at the deed carefully, see who's in title. If there's a entity, you want to go to the division of corporations and look up the entity and make sure you're getting a signature from a manager or an authorized member if it's an LLC, or you want to get a signature from a president, vice president, secretary, or treasurer if it's a corporation.
And if it's in a trust, would a copy of the trust, I guess, help determine?
Yes.
Okay.
So you know that from your
experience as a closer extraordinaire.
All right, and realtor.
So
you want to get a copy of the trust, and the section of the trust you want to make sure you get is the section that spells out who is the trustee.
Who is the trustee?
The trustee has authority. Yeah. So sometimes you get sellers that say, we don't want you looking at our trust, that's personal information. And so you want to be persistent and make sure you get the copy of the signature page and the cover page and that one page that spells out who the trustee is.
The specific powers, yeah.
Yep. And so you want to make sure you tell the seller if they're reluctant that this is going to be needed for closing. And then lastly, if you are looking at a deed that has 2 title holders and the seller says, oh, we'll get the signature later of the other title holder, or the other title holder is dead, or it's something, we're divorced, you want to verify what they're telling you. You want to get both signatures before you list that property, or you want to confirm that the person has passed away, you've seen the death certificate. They're going to need all this stuff for closing.
So it sounds like the formalities of the listing agreement should follow the formalities of the deed.
That's probably a good rule. Yeah.
Has to sign the listing agreement.
Yeah.
So if you encounter issues like this, call us. We can help.
We got answers for all these questions title. And thanks for watching this week's episode of Title Leap, where we are all about empowering agents with the tools to succeed.
Remember to hit subscribe and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn so that you can stay up to date on all our weekly reports.
Content.
Content.
Yeah.